Digambara, Sripada Digambara. Om Sai Ram. On this auspicious day of Ganesh Chaturthi, and this day being the birthday of Sripada Srivallabha, we are presenting this special episode where Sripad has given a lot of information on humanity. Sripada Srivallabha Charithamrutham, Chapter 7, Part 1. Description of cosmic spheres and the greatness of the biography of Sripada Srivallabha. Om Shri Sainathaya Namaha. In the morning, Tirumala Das completed his daily worship and began to narrate, "My dear Shankar Bhatt, the divine life history of Sripada Srivallabha is a divine elixir. It is unheard of, unprecedented and undebatable. You have the good fortune of writing his biography only on account of the boundless grace of Sripada Srivallabha on you. This great fortune, which is not available even to great scholars, is granted to you. This is only his will." The appearance of Sripada Srivallabha in many places at the same time. After he got out of death, the attractive power of Narasavadhani decreased. In the past, when he was thinking of any person in his meditation, that person would come to him however far he might be. That power was now lost. People who were afraid of him and praised him previously were now not afraid of him. When a situation arose, they would tease him with bad talks. His financial state also started deteriorating. The means of getting daily food also decreased. He came into the street wailing at his miserable condition. At that time, Bapanarya was carrying his grandson on his shoulders. The house of Bapanarya was situated at the corner of a street. Sri Charan was spending more of his time at his grandfather's house than at his own house. He was going freely to the houses of Sri Narasimha Varma and Sri Pinda Venkatappaya Shreshti. Narasavadhani wanted to speak with Sripada. He wanted to hold the charming divine child in his arms and kiss him. Narasavadhani saw Sripada, who was going with Bapanarya. Srivallabha looked at Narasavadhani and smiled. That smile was very bewitching. Then Narasavadhani went to the house of Shreshti for some grocery items. There, Sripada Srivallabha was in the lap of Shreshti. Sripada extended his look towards Narasavadhani and smiled sweetly. Narasavadhani returned to his home with grocery items and from there went to the house of Narasimha Varma. At that time, he saw in the house of Sri Varma that Sri Vallabha was sitting on the shoulders of Sri Varma. Again, Sri Vallabha extended a playful smile on seeing Narasavadhani. Narasavadhani saw Sri Vallabha in the houses of his grandfather Sri Varma and Sri Shreshti all at the same time. He was in a dilemma, thinking whether it was a dream or an illusion of Lord Vishnu. The people in the village were blaming him in different ways and were making fun of him. They were blaming him that he was responsible for the disappearance of the self-manifested idol of Datta in the Padgaya Kshetra. Narasavadhani was roaming in the streets like a traveler without any destination. He reached home like a madman. His wife was grief-stricken, seeing her husband as a mad person. She went inside the room of worship to vent to her agony with the god. What she saw was the most wonderful sight. Sripada Srivallabha was in their worship room. There was no end to the joy of the couple. They begged Sripada to partake food with amaranth curry to be prepared by them. Sripada did not agree to that. When the right time, cause and action come together, there will be a great opportunity. A wise person notices it and gets benefited. An unwise person does not notice it and will also lose the opportunity. At last, Sripada agreed to dine in their house but not in the present life. He promised them that he would be born in the holy land of Maharashtra in the next birth under the name of Sri Narasimha Saraswati, and that he would certainly visit their house and eat food with cooked amaranth curry. With the powers of his Ganesha incarnation, which took place on a Sri Ganesh Chaturthi, another great person with the name of Gajanan would be born after some centuries nearer to his birthplace. It may be possible to change the courses of the sun and the moon, but it would not be possible for anyone to alter the promises of Sripada Srivallabha. All the living creatures in the creation, including the 5 elements, have to obey his commands. In compliance with his promises, he is steadfast and truthful. Even when universes shake and aeons change, his sportive place will still remain ever true and most modern. In that chamber of worship, Sripad gave some beneficial advice to Narasavadhani and his wife. Those sacred beneficial preachings are useful to all the devotees of Datta. The following conversation took place between Narasavadhani and Sripada Srivallabha. The dialogue between Sripada Srivallabha and Narasavadhani in the Puja Mandir. The preachings of Sripada to Narasavadhani. For the questions of Narasavadhani, Sripada Srivallabha replied with his preachings. The question was, "Who are you? Are you God, a Yaksh, or a magician?" He replied, "I am myself. I am I. I am the primordial power that is inborn in every atom in this creation made of 5 elements. From animals and birds up to the entire countless living creatures, I also reside in them in their maternal and paternal forms. I am the preceptor of this total creation." Then the question was, "Then are you an incarnation of Lord Datta?" Reply, "Undoubtedly I am Datta. As you are having a body, I also come with a body to enable you to recognize me. In fact, I am formless, attributeless." The question was, "Then you have no form or attributes, isn't it?" Sripad replied, "To have no form is also a form. To have no qualities is also a quality. I am the base for form and no form, for attributes and non-attributes, and I am beyond them also." Narasavadhani questioned, "If you are everything, why reel and woos to living beings?" Sripada replied, "Myself and yourself are within you. Yourself residing within you is Jiva, and myself residing in you is Paramatma. As long as you entertain the notion of doership, you cannot become me. Till then, you cannot come out of pairs of opposites like happiness and misery, sin and virtue. When the you in yourself diminishes and I in you ascends higher, then only you come closer to me. As you come closer and closer to me, your responsibility decreases. When you are under my care, you obtain happiness and well-being. Then Narasavadhani questioned, some people say that Jivatma and Paramatma are different. Others are saying that Jivatma is very close to Paramatma. Some others maintain that Jiva is God. Which of them is correct? Sripada replied, there is no loss if both of us remain separate. Beneficial fortune would accrue when your arrogance is annihilated and both of us remain in a state of duality. You remain in a state of bliss provided you realize that everything is earned on account of my grace and that you are only an instrumental phenomenon. Liquidation of moha is liberation. Therefore, you can attain salvation even in a dual state. When you are in a very close proximity to me, I will be revealing through you. When all my powers are revealed through you, when your arrogance is destroyed, the ignorant infatuation in you decreases. In this superior non-dualistic state, you achieve bliss. This is also liberation because it is devoid of infatuation. When your ego is totally erased and your presumption of being the doer is completely burnt down, the I in you fades out and only me remains in you. So you will attain Brahman. Therefore, you can achieve liberation even if you are in a non-dualistic state. The state of Brahman is all the same whether you are in a dualistic, non-dualistic or distinguished dualistic stage of spiritual progress. It cannot be captured by mind or word. It is only a matter of experience. Narasavadhani then asked, some people who attain the position of Avadhutas call themselves the Supreme Brahman. Then are you an Avadhuta? Sripad replied, no, I am not an Avadhuta. I am the superior Brahman. An Avadhuta experiences that everything is Brahman, but I am Brahman and my position is that I am everything. Narasavadhani then replied, I do not understand the secret in this small difference. Sripada said, an Avadhuta who is freed from all worldly bonds merges in me and experiences the state of supreme bliss. He has no individuality, and when there is no individuality, there is no will or resolve. I am in the great resolve for this creation, and I am also in the supreme power. I am in the shape of the power of illusion called living creatures. If I order an Avadhuta who merged in me to take birth again, he should obey it. Mine is a form of truth, knowledge and bliss coupled with willpower. Their form of truth, knowledge and bliss is devoid of willpower. Narasavadhani then questioned, fried seeds do not germinate, isn't it? After attaining the knowledge of Brahman himself, how is it possible to be born again? Sripad replied, It is the nature of creation that fried seed will not sprout. However, the power and strength of the Creator lies in the sprouting of fried seeds. In fact, my incarnation in the past took place to prove truth through these theories and counter-theories. Narasavadhani then questioned, Lord Datta Sripada, kindly explain it to me. Sripada Srivallabha then replied, my father, who crossed all traits like past, future and present, 3 states of existence, which is creation, continuance and liquidation, became known as Sage Atri. My mother became well known as Anusaya because she was not having the slightest envy or hatred towards any creature or any matter. Sage Atri undertook a severe penance to visualize the Param Jyoti, which is the support for the Trinity and also beyond it. Mother Anusaya also did penance praying to that Param Jyoti to look at each living being and matter in the creation with ambrosial glances and shower grace on them. Living beings experience weal and woe according to the principles of karma. Therefore, Mother Anusaya prayed with the intent that the results of great sins should affect people slightly and the results of small virtuous acts should give bountiful results. Mother had transformed strong metal pieces in the shape of chickpeas into live eatable chickpeas by virtue of her spiritual power acquired through penance. Metal is the consciousness in complete dormant state. Trees and tree-related substances are consciousness in a partial sleep state. Animals belong to the state of complete consciousness. The evolution of man takes place in the following manner. At first, the being is born as mineral and then dies afterwards. After that, the being takes birth as trees and creepers, then takes birth as animals, and finally emerges as a human being. Such a human being should cultivate discrimination, wisdom and detachment and awaken the divine power dormant in him and strive to achieve liberation. Mother had proved that the properties of the evolutionary process can be changed with the grace of the Almighty. The consciousness in the form of the Trinity was in an awkward state. Therefore, she changed it into a dormant state and transformed the 3 Godheads into the form of infants. The powers of the 3 mothers became one and formed as Anagha Devi. I was born as Dattatreya and married Anagha Devi. In the incarnation of Sripada Srivallabha, I was born in the form of Ardhanarishwara with Anagha Devi on my left side and Dattatreya on my right side. This is a form of Lord Shiva combining half masculine and half feminine features. You must understand that the Lord who created this magnificent creation according to his free will also has the strength and power to alter the principles of creation when needed. Narasavadhani then questioned Sripada, saying, Sripada, you are capable of changing the principles and nature of creation. Can you not remove my poverty? Sripada replied, certainly, I can remove your poverty, but I am postponing it to the next birth. Even in the next birth, I will grace only after you suffer poverty for a long time. Amaranth leaves is a small thing. How much attachment did you develop on that? My mother, father or grandfather never asked anything from anyone. Being a small boy, How much food will I eat? When I wanted it, you should have given Thotakura immediately. Now that time is over. To remove the dirt from your mind, this lifespan is not enough. Every man gets a lifespan, wealth, beauty, and fame as the fruit of his merit. As the result of sin, one gets a shortened lifespan, poverty, ugliness, and ill fame. I took out a major portion of your merit and gave you some more life. Much of your merit was expended. Much sin remained. You will have to experience the poverty. As you worshipped the self-manifested Datta, I am gracing you that you will get enough food to eat twice in a day without suffering, even though you will have no wealth. Narasavadhani then asked, Sripada, scriptures enjoin that we should follow the caste system. Your grandfather decided that Vaishyas can have investiture of the holy thread under the Vedic system. Is it not wrong? Then Sripada replied, Your tongue should be slit as you are finding fault with the decision of that Satya Rishishwara. Who do you think is our grandfather? He is actually Bhaskaracharya. The couple, Vishnu Datta and Shishila, was very sacred persons who did not know what selfishness was. I instructed the deities of time and action to make them my parents. The ancestors of Narasimha Varma were great devotees of Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami. They were pious people who organized large-scale food donations during the sacrifices and rituals in Simhachalam. Even before I was born in Pithikapuram, I was planning in a systematic way. My relationship of indebtedness for those three families will not be over in one life. It will not end in one incarnation. My bountiful hand will benefit them for generations and generations. They will live without any worry under the shade of my divine canopy. The assurance of Sripada Srivallabha to his devotees. As far as my matter was concerned, you could not give me even the cheap Thotakura. If you offered me meals, you could have earned merit equivalent to feeding 100,000 Brahmins. You lost that great opportunity. You should consult the scriptures when a debate arises as to what is right and what is wrong. However, when a doubt arises whether the injunctions of the scriptures are to be implemented or not, the decision of pure-hearted people is to be regarded as an injunction of the scriptures. Whatever they say is Vedic truth, and their word is acceptable to the tenets of righteousness. Even if they want to pronounce an unrighteous decree, the goddess of justice would not allow them to digress into an evil path and compel them to deliver a correct judgment. Scriptures say that it is a sin to harm others. However, the battle that was fought in the presence of Lord Sri Krishna became known as a righteous battle, and the place where the battle between Kauravas and Pandavas took place had become known as a Dharma Kshetra. The scriptures say that a religious ritual gives merit. However, when the Supreme Lord Shiva was not invited, the ritual performed by Daksh ultimately led to a big war. The head of Daksh got cut and the head of a goat was fixed for him. When there is an aggravation of bile, a physician would treat the patient with lemon and usiri. When a part of the body becomes poisonous or dangerous, a physician would have to cut out that part. I am also the same. Not only gods but devils are also within me. I behave like a lunatic, a ghost, and also as a devil. Nevertheless, love towards all beings would be overflowing within me. My conduct would be in tune with your nature, the good and bad results of your actions. I will not leave the hands of devotees who rendered total surrender to me. I will drag my devotees residing in distant lands even forcibly to my residence. You should not discuss the origin of sages and rivers. Has not the supreme power taken birth as Kanyaka Parameshwari in the Vaishya caste? There are accomplished siddhas in Vaishya sages, not only for Brahmin, Kshatriya and Vaishya castes, but low caste Shudras also are eligible for Vedic Upanayanam if they observe spiritual discipline and regulations. The third eye should open up on the performance of Upanayanam. The inner consciousness should get purified and the mind should concentrate on the knowledge of the Supreme. Your mind is completely absorbed in the knowledge of vegetables. Do you think that Brahman is a commodity to be procured in the market? A Brahmin in this life may be born as a pariah in the next birth, and a pariah in this birth may be born as a Brahmin in the next birth. Please note that the Supreme Brahman transcends time and space, caste and religion. God likes inner feelings and not external appearances. God works according to your feeling. When holding court inquiring about the welfare of devotees and granting them favors, I am a Kshatriya. For every living being, a wage would be fixed according to his actions of virtue or sin. The wages of every person are with me. When I weigh and measure for calculating what is due to every individual, I am a Vaishya. As I serve people by attracting unto my body the troubles and pains of my devotees, I am a Shudra. When I wash out the sins of living creatures, I am a washerman. When I burn the dead ashes and grant them noble births, I am a keeper of burial ground. Now, you decide and tell me to which caste I belong. Narasavadhani then questioned, Sripada, excuse me, I am an ignorant one. You are Lord Datta himself. You are the sole refuge of all living creatures. You kindly explain to me how creation is formed. From here, Lord Sripada Srivallabha's response and the creation of the universe will be continued from the next episode. Digambara, Digambara, Sripada Vallabha Digambara. Om Sai Ram.